Go, go, go.
Guna fam, what is good? I don't know if anything is good, man. Nqobile, how do you feel, man? We just lost at Enfield
Yeah,
again.
our annual Anfield hiding.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I think I could kind of see, like, I'm very disappointed. Obviously, I could kind of see how what Arteta was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Liverpool, I think Jurgen Klopp got his tactics spot on
Yeah.
also today, which I think Arteta wasn't really expecting. Obviously, I
Expecting.
think with Henderson not playing, they had three very mobile central midfielders, and a lot
Mm.
of them were peeling off into the wide areas. And
Yeah.
guys like Granit Xhaka and Mohamed El Neni didn't know whether to to run with them. So they weren't using their fullbacks today. The fullbacks were sticking quite deep and play and
Yeah.
got against the counter. And they were actually the guys who were going out wide were actually the midfielders who were creating the overloads. And our midfield wasn't. We were getting caught in two minds, not sure whether to stick or go there, or whether Ainsley should be picking Keita when he goes into those wide positions, or whether
Mm.
it should be Xhaka track, because the run was coming from inside to out. So look, I think it was a masterclass from Liverpool on this side. Obviously, I'm disappointed that we didn't execute
Yeah.
our, because we knew what the game was going to be like. We knew that the chances were going to be few, and we did get those chances, and we didn't convert them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was very, 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 very disappointing.
Disappointing.
That aspect, and the guys didn't perform well. Like, a lot of the guys had subpar performances. Look, the second half performance was much better than the first,
Mm.
but yeah, a lot of guys, you look at them and you're like,
But
getting
is it the
pissed off and stuff.
performance? Would you say it's the performance or the fact that we were genuinely like overpowered in that first half? Because
So it's a bit of both.
uh,
So for me, it was a bit of both, because obviously, like, it was the performance was that somewhere, like, we were still misplacing passes. There were instances where, like, us playing from the back was still on, but then you'd find that Leno would lump the ball forward to Uber. Meanwhile, you'd find Tierney or Ainsley were open, instead of just being
mm,
confident and just clipping it
mm,
there. So there were instances like that, or guys miscontrolling the ball, guys playing the incorrect pass,
yeah,
um, and then obviously also some of it was just down to ability. I mean,
yeah,
Rob Holding is scared to death of
mm.
Sadio Mane. Every time Sadio Mane was dropping deep, Rob Holding was too scared
I
to
could
go with
I
it.
could
Where
I
that's
could
where he should
feel his fear as well.
you
Even
could
me, I was
feel his
getting
fear from
scared.
here.
I was like,
He
oh,
was
that's money on you.
scared to death of Sadio Mane. Scared to death. Every time Sadio Mane was closing him down, he would panic and kick the ball out
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
misplace his pass.
yeah.
Anytime that Mane was running or it was a 50-50, he would pull out. He wasn't going into any 50-50 challenges.
Yeah.
Anything that was like, even when it was in his favor, half of the
Uh,
time he just leave it and let Mane just go collect the ball,
I
turn
think
and
the
pace him.
commentator even mentioned like, oh, who do you think you were thinking you could dribble or try and dribble Mane? You know, at that part of the field, it's like no, Mane is
Yeah.
a good defender of the ball. Look, I know you mentioned it last week that the Liverpool match is going to be the outcome is going to be obvious, and I mean it was, but I don't know. I still feel like
Mm.
there are positives, you know.
Yeah.
And the greatest positive really is that we didn't make it easy for Liverpool.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, so
You
we
know,
came with a plan. We talked about, obviously, like, still our midfield deficiencies are still the problem, because you saw when Ceballos came on how easy it was for him to unlock that midfield.
mm,
He literally had one guy
mm.
who could get the ball and run it. Guy
Run
beat
with it.
one
Yeah,
defender,
yeah,
beat one
yeah,
or two midfielders, then all of a
yeah,
sudden the whole field, was
yeah,
open. Teams
yeah.
with, like, better midfields, I
Mm,
think, can take on this Liverpool side, and they played to that. They exposed our weaknesses in midfield. The fact that we can't track, so then they
mm,
were pulling their midfielders into areas they knew that our midfielders could never track them to. And
mm,
then secondly, they also knew that we didn't have, with the lineup we started, we didn't have players who had that power and that pace to be able to beat them. So they knew that they could just almost just sit in front of them and then press them in instances. And then they knew once they did that, they didn't have the ability to go and beat them and and play the through ball. So they were setting up good traps for us and catching us
Mm,
with those traps. And
mm,
it's just one of those where they've got better players. You just have to admit
yeah,
that
yeah.
we're not at
The
their level,
the
and
the difference.
it's
Mm,
yeah.
I know. I
So
was
the
just gonna
difference was
say.
that we came with
Continue.
a plan, and you kind of saw it just didn't work out today.
Yeah,
But we looked like we had a plan. The only
yeah,
plan I think that Mikel Arteta made is that he should have started with Ceballos.
yeah,
Um, but besides that, I think I mean, yeah, it was just one of those where they were just much better than us.
yeah.
And yeah, I can't really complain. Besides the chances we missed, Lacazette missed, I think at the end of the day, I mean, to walk away with the draw, would have been very, very, a
Yeah,
miracle result.
yeah,
So, and I think at the end of the day, like the 3-1 is not really flattering on
mm.
on 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 the end. I think it was a fair result if you look at it at the end of the day.
Yeah. And
You know,
like in the greater scheme of things, I think maybe it is a good time to have played Liverpool. I know we're playing them again in the next few days, but
yeah,
we've gotten over the hurdle of playing the champions. And our coach and the team can go back and make tactical changes here and there going forward
yeah,
based on the evidence extracted in that. So, I mean, in the long term, I'm going to say what people say. I'm grateful that it's still early.
yeah.
It's good that it's still early. Quickly before we round up, I know it's late. Your man of the match.
Oh, yes, was there a man of the match in this game?
Wow.
I'd have to say, for me, even though he came and he played very briefly, I'd have to say Ceballos for me was man of the match. He came on, he turned the game on his head,
You
um,
you won't
and
say
he was
David Luiz?
influential. Like, no, well, David Luiz, the thing is that he was decent, but I mean, if you look at it also, the third goal was a poor clearance from him.
Mm,
You'd expect him to hit it. Look, it was, and for personally, okay, first and foremost, I think Bert Leno should have come and collected that. And now
mm,
people are going to be starting to compare Martinez to Bert and say probably
yeah,
Martinez would have given a shout
yeah,
to come and
yeah,
collect it and told David
yeah.
Luiz to leave it,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And then obviously David Luiz's clearance was quite a poor clearance.
mm,
And it was straight to Jota at the top of the 6 yard, sorry, of
mm,
the 18-yard area, and he smashed it
mm.
in. Um, so just brilliant. But he had a decent match. But it's always
Also creating
we,
chances.
yeah, but you're also still quite nervy, especially with Rob Holding next to him, because both of them don't have pace.
Mm,
And it's just one of those where you're never really that comfortable, especially against Manu, who you know that these guys can beat them. So he played quite well this fight, but yeah, despite the result. But yeah, for me, I think I'll just give it. I'll
to
just give it to
Dennis
Ceballos. It's
Ceballos.
difficult to give it to a defender when we've conceded 3 goals.
Yeah,
You know, so you can't say a defender's your better than that. You conceded 3 goals.
yeah,
But anyway.
that's true.
Mm.
That's true. Yo, Nqobile, thanks so much, bro.
You're not gonna ask me for worst player.
Well,
A lot
okay,
of
fine.
guys had shock. A lot
You,
of guys had shockers today.
yeah, I assumed
But
you're
also,
gonna say
yeah.
everyone. Okay, but since
Yeah, man. Yeah,
since you want to
we'll leave.
pinpoint
We can leave
who,
it. We can leave it. It's fine, man. This to me. Yeah. Anyway, we can leave it at that. But I think there's a
okay,
lot of guys who didn't perform at their best.
yeah,
Obviously, there are those people who were play more poor, yeah, were much poorer than others. I think Kieran Tierney didn't have a great game.
mm,
But also, I think that with that, also, I think because he wasn't too sure whether to stick with Salah or go out to the wide midfielders that were making
but
runs off our,
but
our
didn't you
guys.
also feel
So,
like there
but
was a lot of strain going on that left
yeah,
side of the field?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
a lot
it
of
was.
our attention, like distributing the ball through the
Yeah,
left on
yeah,
the
was
left,
going
and
through the,
then they
yeah,
were squeezing us there as well.
yeah,
Fighting
yeah,
for
they
it.
were,
Yeah,
they were, yeah.
especially
So,
like in
yeah,
in
as I was
that
saying,
build
yeah,
up, you know, Louise, and then they pass it to Tierney. Tierney tries and pushes it forward. Like that was done so many times.
yeah.
You know.
And the thing is that we can't do that on the other side because Rob Holding panics anytime there's a little bit of pressure. He panics.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was it was one of those. But yeah, like, and not to say that Tierney was like the worst player, because I think Rob Holding for me was our worst. But a lot of guys
Mm,
didn't play well.
mm, mm.
I could look at a lot of Xhaka didn't play well for me.
What about
Um,
Nanny?
El Neni he was all right. He was all right, but he's still not at every single one of Liverpool's midfielders are miles ahead
Mm,
of El Neni and
mm,
Xhaka. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And just in
mm.
terms of their speed, their aggression,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ability to distribute, just the ability for them
yeah.
to get up and down the field. And
Even
that's what
ability
we're
on the
sorely
ball. Yeah.
ability on the ball.
Mm,
It's just stuff that we're missing, you know.
yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, man, I think the guys will look to learn. Look, we don't know what type of team we're going to put out on Wednesday. It's going to be a much changed side,
Mm,
obviously.
mm.
So I
Definitely.
don't think that's really a yardstick. So I don't know whether Arteta's just going to say, you know what, stuff this. Let me go for this trophy. Stick, you know what I'm saying? Because it's
Mm,
silverware at the end of the day. Stick his strongest side, or whether he's going to rest a lot of the guys, play like your Salibas, your Gabriels, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Um,
Try something different.
your
Mm.
Joe Willocks, etc. Play those guys and try rest the guys for the game
And
against Sheffield
and
because
and it's at
I think
Anfield again, huh?
yeah, it's at Anfield again. But yeah, but the thing is that because it's the
The
Carabao
League
Cup,
Cup. Yeah.
both sides might we don't know exactly who's gonna be fielding the strong side and who might
Mm,
decide to
mm,
rest a few players.
mm.
You know, so there's also that caveat to that match where we could see something like last year where it was pretty much two second string side and it was a 5-5 draw, or
Yeah.
we could see one of the teams putting a very strong side and one of them putting a relatively weak side. You
Yeah.
know, but we don't know. We haven't seen Arteta long enough in this competition to know exactly what he's thinking and as what type
Yeah.
of side,
Yeah.
what type
Yeah.
of side we put
Yeah.
in. So I
No.
don't think really that match, the second match, is really a measure of where we are. I think this was a measure of where we are. The second match for me is just it's just a by the by, you know. And yeah, it's not really a true yardstick of who has the who's the better side.
Okay. All right. No, but I'll say it. You called it last week, and disappointing. I'm sad we didn't walk away with the result. I won't lie, but let's hope that we'll be smiling again on Wednesday. I'm always looking forward to watching Arsenal play, and I'm
To
always
watching Arsenal Liverpool, yeah,
yeah. I'm also looking forward to chatting to you again. Thanks so much for
yeah, man.
being up with me so late at night, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, boss.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, man.
Up sharp,
See you soon. Peace.
eh?